What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so as we all know, Deion Sanders, the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, got their asses blasted. I think it was 42-6. They were down 35-0 at halftime. It could have been an even bigger blowout, but I still maintain that Oregon was trying to run up the score uh, later in the game themselves. Like they were trying to run the score up, but it is what it is. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't think that Oregon was going to win the game. I wasn't expecting quite a shellacking of that magnitude. But Coach Prime has made it be known and has let it be known that despite their 3-0 start to begin the season, now of course they're 3-1, but they weren't as good as their record was indicating. They still had a lot of things to work on. And we can't lose sight of how terrible the team was last year. They only won one game. And they lost their games. Their losses came with an average of 29 points per game. So all we've seen is improvement. And more than likely they're going to finish the season with a winning record, or at least close to that, right? Probably a winning record. At least I'm hoping for a winning record. But anyway, Keyshawn Johnson, formerly of ESPN, now Fox Sports, came out with the accusation that, according to sources that he has, there was, and perhaps there is still an ongoing conspiracy by various head coaches to beat Coach Sanders and his squad. That various coaches were giving intel on game planning for the Colorado Buffaloes. Now look, I see a lot of people trying to discredit Keyshawn Johnson for that take and trying to say that, he's full of hot air, full of baloney for saying that. The truth is that coaches often give each other advice. That's always been the case, right? So why is it hard to believe that in a situation where many coaches in college football have obviously shown resentment toward Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes program for getting so much attention, doing so well in the ratings, being the number one story in sports right now, why is it hard to believe that with that level of animus growing toward Deion and the Colorado Buffaloes, why is it hard to believe that there could be forces unseen by us who want this dude to lose? They want them to fail. It's bigger than just Deion Sanders. You know what I'm saying? Jason Whitlock, to me, and I'll talk about him on probably my Patreon later on today. To me, Jason Whitlock is merely I look at him as a grifter, all right? To me, he's a grifter. And people like him, they know what they're doing. They know who they're catering to. We know, all right? With the situation with the Colorado Buffaloes, one thing I've heard about Deion is that he's a very patient man. He looks at the long picture. He looks at the long road ahead. That's a quality in him his patience, and his vision. That's a quality in him that sometimes you don't see in many great players. They're impatient. But he's not. And he knows right now that this team is mediocre in a lot of ways. They have bright spots. They have key guys, his son, others, who have, are talented and are maybe somewhat at times covering up these gaps, but they're still there, these gaping holes. But like you said, give it time. Give it time. And we're going to be unbeatable. And I believe in him. And this has a lot to do with recruiting, too. It has a lot to do with recruiting and a guy like Deion having success. Look, college football ranks, as far as coaches are concerned, long time have been a good old boys network. Okay? So to have a guy like Deion Sanders, and this is why I compared him to Jackie Robinson, to have him potentially be the first black coach that I can see who will be able to successfully market himself in a state that, or in a way that he can become bigger than the program in some ways. All right? And I don't mean that to say that he should be exalted or idolized. I'm not saying that. But he directly, more so than the university, can be a drawing point for players to want to play for the Colorado Buffaloes. Whereas other situations, with the exception of very few guys in history, a lot of guys wanted to play for John Wooden. They wanted to play for Dean Smith. You feel me? I'm not talking basketball. That's my forte. They wanted to play for these guys. Mike Krzyzewski. They don't want Deion to get to that level. They don't want Deion to be a guy who's a legend in that sport. As a player, fine, we tolerated Deion. But recruiting, taken away from the good old boys, they don't want that. And they definitely don't want Deion to be the first of a long line of players like him who were tolerated because of their athletic gifts when they were playing. But to threaten the coaching hierarchy, they don't want that. So they have their detractors out there. They have their people out there to try to destroy this man. It's going to continue on. But I know the deal. And I think a lot of you guys do too. So, it is what it is. Tell me what you guys think.